Donald Trump is the most historically unpopular president in American history at this point in a presidency that we have ever seen. But it only gets worse when you look at how the rest of the world views him. We have seen elections across the globe swung solely on the sentiment against Donald Trump's administration, and it drives him crazy. This is a man desperate to be liked, but the opposite is the case. And that's the reason that the speech that King Charles gave today in Canada, really a knockout blow to Donald Trump, has him losing it all in a Truth Social tantrum that we're going to get into. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way, and it really does mean a lot to me. Now, of course, Donald Trump has been raging against world leaders throughout his entire presidency, especially against Canada. But what was said today specifically set him off. And before we get to that, we got to check out a bit of the speech from King Charles.
When my dear late mother, Queen Elizabeth II, opened a new Canadian Parliament in 1957, the Second World War remained a fresh, painful memory. The Cold War was intensifying. Freedom and democracy were under threat. Canada was emerging as a growing economic power and a force for peace in the world. In the decades since, history has been punctuated by epoch-making events: the Vietnam War, the fall of the Berlin Wall, and the start of the War on Terror. Today, Canada faces another critical moment. Democracy, pluralism, the rule of law, self-determination, and freedom are values which Canadians hold dear, and ones which the government is determined to protect. The system of open global trade that, while not perfect, has helped to deliver prosperity for Canadians for decades, is changing. Canada's relationships with partners are also changing. Il nous faut confronter la réalité. Depuis la Deuxième Guerre mondiale, notre monde n'a jamais été aussi dangereux et instable. Le Canada fait face à des défis qui, dans nos vies, sont sans précédent. Many Canadians are feeling anxious and worried about the drastically changing world around them. Fundamental change is always unsettling. Yet this moment is also an incredible opportunity, an opportunity for renewal, an opportunity to think big and to act bigger, an opportunity for Canada to embark on the largest transformation of its economy since the Second World War.
I don't think that that was very subtle from King Charles. I think he wanted everyone to know that he was taking a direct shot across the bow at Donald Trump, talking about the way that he has reordered, for the worse, mind you, global trade. He wants it to be clear that what he has done to break up relationships that are so important across the world with the United States has been devastating. And that is the way that everyone else views Donald Trump. Not as a disruptor for good, not even as a disruptor, more of a bumbling, stumbling fool. He has no plan to what he is doing, and it is why he has consistently humiliated himself with a trade war that has only backfired. Of course, we have seen countries respond, electing liberal leaders, but they've also stood up to Trump. And that is exactly what we saw Mark Carney do, and King Charles hinted at that when he said this right here.
À vous.
I wish to express to you and to the people of Canada my heartfelt gratitude, and that of my wife, for the warmth of the welcome which we have received.
And reminds us the true North is indeed strong and free.
So you are probably starting to understand why Donald Trump is feeling pretty upset today. He gets called out for his idiotic trade wars. The idea, this stupid notion that Canada would ever be a 51st state, gets shut down to a standing ovation. Donald Trump is not happy, especially as he struggles to make some new deal that I guess he's trying to propose with the EU. It's all a mess. He's angry at world leaders. He's angry he was embarrassed on the world stage. And so he sent out this bleat, this meltdown of a Truth Social post right here. Trump wrote, I was extremely satisfied with a 50% tariff allotment on the European Union, especially since they were slow walking, to put it mildly, our negotiations with them. Remember, I am empowered to set a deal for trade into the United States if we are able to make a deal or are treated unfairly. I have just been informed that the EU has called to quickly establish meeting dates. This is a positive event, and I hope they will finally, like my same demand to China, open up the European nations for trade with the United States of America. They will both be very happy and successful if they do. There is no deal being done. Donald Trump doesn't actually know what he's doing. He's pretending that while their discussion, while the focus is on his horrible tariffs, that something magical is about to happen. This is also what Donald Trump does with the tariffs. He breaks the economy. He tries to fix the economy with some publicity stunt, and then he points to maybe a bump in the market or some resolution and say, look at the amazing thing I did. That's what's going on here. He's freaking out. He's losing it. He's throwing a tantrum saying, oh, the EU was unfair to me. World leaders have been unfair to me. They better make a deal. China better make a deal. He's just angry and upset that he has been consistently humiliated. And it's not just with his trade deals. Of course, we have seen Donald Trump get angrier with Vladimir Putin lately. And he was posting about that too as part of this foreign policy Truth Social tantrum that he had. Just take a look right here. Trump warns Putin he's stopping lots of really bad things from happening to Russia. He's playing with fire. Donald Trump is ramping up his attacks on Vladimir Putin, warning the Russian leader that he's playing with fire in a new social media post. In a Tuesday morning dispatch on Truth Social, the president, who called Putin absolutely crazy on Sunday, escalated his tough talk even further. What Vladimir Putin doesn't realize is that if it weren't for me, lots of really bad things would be happening already to Russia. And I mean really bad, Trump wrote. He's playing with fire. Trump's rhetoric of the past 48 hours represents a marked shift in his comments about the Russian leader. Just last week, the president raved about his hours-long phone call with Putin, praising it as excellent in a tone and spirit. Critics, including some on the right, slammed Trump after the phone call, accusing him of caving to his Russian counterpart. But following more deadly attacks in Kyiv, Trump seems to be abandoning a tone of appeasement in favor of a more hard line. Yeah, I don't know if I would exactly call Vladimir, what are you doing? Why are you hurting my feelings? I'm so embarrassed. As a hard line, I would just call that an embarrassing little freak out from Trump. I think a hard line would be actually working to end the war, something that I thought was supposed to happen before Donald Trump was even inaugurated. But as he says, I guess that was a joke. Kind of how the rest of the world in this moment so clearly views Donald Trump. He gets humiliated by King Charles for this idiotic trade war, and his response is to say, well, we have concepts of a deal. Maybe a deal will happen. Oh, we're working towards a deal. It's just embarrassing. He is bumbling around. There is no cohesive plan here. And the fact that Republicans won't say anything is just humiliating. The fact that, it's just Rand Paul speaking out. We have a couple of Republicans standing up to a budget that's going to add $4 or $5 trillion to the debt. We're growing the debt. It is insanity. The lack of principles that these people have. How silent they remain as Donald Trump walks all over them. They talk about strength. They talk about being these fake manly men that they are. They're not. They're quiet and they're spineless. And Jasmine Crockett called that out on the topic of the war in Ukraine in this clip right here.
Still struggle with answering the question of who won the election in 2020. And you may have felt a way when you had social media checking people and saying, no, Trump did not win the election in 2020. That is absolutely factual. And unfortunately, because some people got all riled up because they believed the lies, they ended up getting locked up because they decided that they were going to believe the lies. They ended up at the Capitol on January 6th, and they were trying to tear this thing apart because they felt like their country was falling apart in front of their eyes because for whatever reason, there were people in power that were peddling a lie about the election. We also know, and some of y'all may still say that COVID was a hoax. COVID wasn't a hoax. Tell that to the over 1 million people that died under Donald Trump's first watch. It wasn't a hoax. So no, I do believe that it was okay. In fact, I do believe that it was ethically right for social media to check people because you had people that didn't know anything about science. and decided that they were going to put out whatever lies or propaganda or conspiracy theories they wanted to, and people died. At some point in time, we have to evaluate what is factual. And I know that facts hurt y'all, and I just wish we could get on the same page, but we do know during the presidential election that the president would not go and participate in anything if fact checking was going to be a part of it, because he didn't want to be fact checked. We know that the vice president got upset in his vice presidential debate when he was fact checked. It used to be a time in this country that we, as members of Congress or elected officials, thought that it was okay to just tell the truth. Instead, we're pushing conspiracy theories, and some of them are killing people. It's the same thing that we have coming out of Doge. It's the reason that people are dying. It's the reason that farmers are losing their farms, because we continue to peddle conspiracy theories. It is time for us to say, Mr. President, guess what? Russia invaded Ukraine. Can we at least agree on that one? Facts matter. Yo, this is literally potentially putting us into an international crisis. We may be heading towards the next world war because we have a president that wants to pal around with Putin and wants to do everything to make him feel good, including lying about who invaded who. Mr. Chair, I got a minute left, but I really want to yield to any of my colleagues and ask them if they will say today, very basically, that when it came down to the war in Ukraine, that it was not Ukraine that invaded Russia, it was the other way around. Is there anybody in here that has enough courage to say that Russia invaded Ukraine?
You can have my time.
And this is yet the problem.
How can you say that you're tough, pretend to be strong, when you are so silent, deafening silence coming out of the MAGA movement? And Donald Trump is the same way. How is that a hard line? Freaking out? Do something. But he won't, because he doesn't know how to, and he's too scared. That's why the rest of the world will be continuously embarrassed with him, and we're going to have to call that out to try to fix this thing in a couple of years. The next Democratic president is going to have their work cut out for him, but it means starting now. That's what we're doing on this show every single day, and if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video, and if you stuck around to the end, you can drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you soon.